Hayes called his shot, and he did not miss last night on NXT 2.0 with the heist of the biggest heist in NXT history. Carmelo Hayes is the brand new NXT North American champion. Plus, we got tons of stuff that's going to be building up to Halloween Havoc. We're going to jump into NXT 2.0 review tonight on The Debrief. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! What's up, everyone? Welcome to The Debrief. I'm Jose G. Next to me is the top Chico himself, Rico el Glorioso. What's going on, broski?
Oh, man. It's that time of year, Jose. We're already in October. I know it's one of your favorite months. And to go along with everything nice and spooky, we got Halloween Havoc right around the corner. Looking forward to that. How are you doing, Jose?
I'm doing great, man. We got a lot to talk about in this week's NXT. Not bad show at all, man. Now that we have a good, clear pathway to Halloween Havoc in the next few weeks, things are starting to shape up, which is looking like a really good card from what we're looking at, man. We got Tommaso Ciampa, who's going to be defending his title against Braun Breaker at Halloween Havoc, bro. So that's going to be good. Raquel Gonzalez is going to be facing the one and only Mandy Rose of Toxic Attraction. So the card is starting to look really good. We'll see. This is going to be the first pay-per-view type event with this new revamped version of NXT 2.0. So I think things are shaping up beautifully. But what about that major swerve on Isaiah Swerve Scott last night?
Exactly. Talk about getting swerved.
Man, crazy.
They set it up really nicely, too, especially with everything going on with the tag team division. We saw, like, Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes kind of, like, teasing a possible run at that with the contract that he had. But, man, just that whole beginning of that show, they set it up so nicely. We had Ashanti D. Adonis was not heard from anybody in
MIA. He was MIA. What's up with that? Like, what? Why? Where was he? Where was Ashanti D. Adonis? Because big top dollar couldn't get a hold of him. BFAT couldn't get a hold of him. So it's very weird that he was not around at all to back up his boy Isaiah Swerve Scott last night.
Interesting. And of course, as we kicked off the show, we had Swerve coming into the building, and out of nowhere, just like essentially what happened when Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza got essentially kidnapped to join Legado del Fantasma. They basically just kidnapped BFAB and Top Dollar and just left Swerve, to fend for himself. So it looked like, he was handling his business all by himself. And then, man, you thought Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, coming out to the side, like, okay, a nice little, camaraderie, a nice little rub for Carmelo right before he goes over to SmackDown in a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. And bam, just an impromptu match between Carmelo Hayes and Swerve Scott. I want to see a full match because, of course, this is just like a Money in the Bank cash-in where you just, take the opportunity when somebody's tired from a good match. That it was a good match between Santos Escobar and Isaiah Scott, but man, it was a little too much out of the tank of Swerve in order to maintain that title. And now we have a brand new NXT North American champion, which I love the pictures afterwards. And it was also said that it was Shawn Michaels who saw something in Carmelo Hayes, and especially after the performance that he had. Remember, his first two matches in NXT was against Kushida and Adam Cole. And even though he lost, he looked amazing in both matches. Mm-hmm. And now look where he is today, winning the second breakout tournament and our new NXT North American champion. So I thought it was a really smart way of getting that belt off of Swerve, especially talking about he's taking it with him to SmackDown. Not anymore. You're not. It's staying in NXT.
Yeah, man, I think this was actually a really good way, and the way that it was booked and the way it was told was great. I wasn't expecting this to happen as far as, this kind of type of cash-in situation, which in NXT, they made it very clear he's executing that contract. He's not cashing in the contract. He's executing the contract because he signed it right there before and then got the match going on. But the match itself between Swerve and Escobar, man, that match was a banger. One of the best matches I've seen those two do ever since their time back at Lucha Underground. So this was definitely one of their best matches. I don't think this is the end for both of them because at some point Escobar is probably going to come up to the main roster, and maybe we'll get to see them down the road at some point. But I'm really excited for Carmelo Hayes too, because Carmelo Hayes has it all. This kid is doing some incredible stuff. I can't wait to see Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker. That's going to be a banger of a match. Joe Gacy and Carmelo Hayes, that's going to be a banger. So like a lot of these new guys that are being, presented to us, they're starting to make an impact. We're starting to talk about them. We're starting to notice them. Joe Gacy is a really good example. Joe Gacy had an opening match with Tommaso Ciampa in order for him to try to make his way to Halloween Havoc. Unfortunately, he couldn't get that win, but he did have a really good showing. And what he's doing with this whole millennial character, it's different. I like it. I can see some people not liking it, but I always tend to lean a little bit more on the heel side of characters for the simple reason is because sometimes being a heel is a little bit harder in order for you to get that negative reaction. And it's 10 times harder to be a baby face to get you over with the crowd. So Joe Gacy's getting reactions from the crowd. I love the spot where he just caresses Gunnar Harlan's face after Gunnar Harlan attacks Tommaso Ciampa out of nowhere. So I don't know if Gunnar Harlan's going to join Joe Gacy and, form some type of like snowflake faction. I don't know, but right now I'm liking what Joe Gacy's doing. I'm not 100% on board with what's going on with Gunnar Harlan. It's unclear. I don't know if this is the start of something.
It seems like it is. It seems it's going to be one of those situations where Gunnar Harlan is going to possibly be like a heavy or like a hitman for Joe Gacy, and to the point where Joe Gacy gets so much heel heat that whenever you want to start pushing Gunnar, then you just have him turn him babyface, kind of like a Mankind. Like Mankind was supposed to be like a heel, but of course, once he found who he truly is, he wound up being one of the most over baby faces that they had, especially with that kind of character that he was really trying to portray. So, hopefully we're going to see more of that. And again, take away less of kind of look like a stereotypical skinhead. But it looks like they're going to try to give him that, a layer to his character. So yeah, that caught me off guard too. When he, when we grabbed my throat and he just did the caressing on the face. What's going on here?
You want to get a big nasty dude off of you? Just caress this face.
Apparently.
Don't even go for the balls. Don't even go for the just caress his face.
Caressing his face.
Just caress his face. Make eye contact, and he'll let go of you immediately.
And just run away as he should have. But yeah, I'm interested to see where this storyline is going to continue. But one thing I did notice that they were doing, especially last night, was really keeping that show going. Keep that momentum. It wasn't this whole end a segment, go to commercial, come back to a new segment. It was continuous. So as people are leaving the ring, the next people are coming out. So it really kept like a solid momentum going to the show because after that situation happened, Toxic Attraction came out. Even while Tommaso Ciampa, was trying to recover, and of course Joe Gacy was like trying to look at him and like trying to bat his eyes at the Toxic Attraction, and they just like looked him up and down, just kept walking. Like they kept the show going. They kept it, not feeling like there's hard cuts or anything like that, which made it seem a lot more seamless because once we did come back to the next segment, we did have Toxic Attraction put everybody in the women's division on notice because they are trying to walk out of Halloween Havoc with all the gold.
Yeah, man.
Gigi Dolan and JC Jane challenging Io Shirai and Zoe Stark, and of course Mandy Rose. Doesn't matter if her hair is blonde, if it's brunette, if it's green, purple, blue, she is still the baddest bitch in NXT. Mic drop. And then the women's division started coming out. So now they actually added to the match because we knew it was going to be that Toxic Attraction was calling them out. But we found out later on that Pretty Savage, which is a team of Indy Hartwell and Persia Pirota, right? Did I say right?
Persia Pirota, yep.
Persia Pirota.
Yes.
they wound up challenging too. So now it's going to be a triple threat match for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships, which I think is
be a fun. That's just going to be a fun and an entertaining match. Whenever we get all those multi-person matches and there's a title involved, they usually tend to be pretty fun. So that should be a pretty fun match. But this almost feels like we're going to get almost kind of like a reset button at Halloween Havoc. This is their first, pay-per-view type event that's going to be broadcasted on cable TV. And you have all these championship matches that are going to be going down. We've had major title changes at Halloween Havoc before. That could be a possibility as we are heading into, this brand new revamped version of NXT 2.0. And it continued on Tuesday night, dude. Zion Quinn, for example, he was out again this week. He went up against Malik Blade. He got a solid, clean win on him. Malik Blade wasn't a very long match, I'll tell you that much. We also had the debut of Diamond Mine's own Ivy Lane going up against Valentina Feroz, and she beat her with almost what looked like a torture rack submission, looking absolutely jacked, doing squats in the middle of the ring, absolutely stealing the show. Ivy Lane is going to be someone to keep an eye on because I think she is going to be one of the most dominant women in the women's division coming down the road here in NXT. Then we also had Julius Creed going up against Ikemen Jiro, where Ikemen Jiro did not get the win. But still, this is just a really great example of all the brand new talent that NXT is throwing out there. Then we had a massive tag team match. Kyle O'Reilly, Von Wagner, who's like the new version of Edge in NXT, going up against Pete Dunne and Ridge Holland, getting the win against those two while Ridge Holland's making his way up to the blue brand. So again, just a big influx of new talent. Are you digging all the new talent? Are you finding yourself getting a little bit more familiar with some of this new talent?
Oh, absolutely. I think it was one of those things, like we told everybody, like you have to give it time. We know what Triple H, what Shawn Michaels, what everybody in NXT can do. So yeah, it was like a hard stop and like, here's a switch over to NXT 2.0. But look what we're starting to get. The more that we start to see them, the more they start getting comfortable in their own characters too. Like, so we know what Zion Quinn is all about. He's doing that little haka before every match. Like, we know what he's about. He looks strong. He has a bright future. And Ivy Nile, bro, like I'm intimidated by her, but I'm also very attracted to her because like she's that kind of personality. And when she came in and like her little warm up, where she just straight pushes herself all the way up, she's holding jacked, that plank and then dropping herself back down like nothing. And then what was where she just had her in she just had her in her hands and then tossed her up into a suplex. Like, she is a beast. Like, this is NXT's version of Jordan Grace. So I'm excited to see what she's going to be able to continue to do in the women's division. Yeah, like that submission hold. Like, that does not feel good. Steven Chambers saying that Ivy would be a good chiropractor. Yeah, she would be, because the way she was bending poor Valentina, she wasn't ready. And then, of course, they kept it going because after the match, there was a promo by Malcolm Bivens, and he had Ikemen come out, basically trying to challenge, Roderick Strong for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. But then you have Julius Creed step up because he's always got that thing on him. He's strapped. He's always has his gear on, always ready to have a match. And we got to see him in a singles match as opposed to in a tag team match with Brutus. So I like that they're really showcasing everybody and they're keeping things seamless. And so he continues to look dominant. Ikemen is so over. He's so fun to watch in these matches, but he's just going to be he's going to be the one that loses to make everybody else look strong. He is that guy. And is a good person to do it with. And then, like you said, with Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner, they're really setting him up to be really strong, getting the win over Ridge Holland before he even goes over to the main roster. So they have high hopes for him. So they're setting up these guys really nicely in some ways. And then you got Andre Chase University.
Oh, God.
How did you feel about that segment? I did think it was I laughed at the end. After he was talking
I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was great. When he started coming out, I wasn't really feeling him. But then he started doing these little things, like, for example, just interrupting Braun Breaker and Tommaso Ciampa in the middle of an interview by saying bullshit, right? This is bullshit. right? And then now he's just cursing up a storm during class, which makes it even better because he's cussing out the student. He's like, "You're not supposed to effing do this, you dumb effer." And the effer is like, I'm like, what? I'm like, okay.
And then
at the end, he starts laughing at it cracked me up. I thought it was good.
He tried to teach a very valuable lesson, man. He tried to teach a valuable lesson, and I love that the students call him out every single time. So yeah, he should have been more aware and all this stuff. You got to put your leg on top of the rope, not under the rope, because that's the way the ref can see it. And then so we're like, isn't that considered cheating? Like, shouldn't he won that match? And of course he yells at him and tells him to go to the I forgot what room he told him to go to with the other guy as he's cursing up the storm. So they're doing interesting ways of really bringing these guys out and having us to get to know them and connect to them. And then we go back to vignettes again. So we had a Tony D'Angelo vignette that he couldn't remember his opponent from last week. That he was supposed to be on Lashing Out with Lash Legend, and we had that segment where she was talking to like the producer, and they were kind of making fun of him, like, no, I just told him we had a scheduling problem. And then of course, when you cut back to Tony D'Angelo, like he finishes his vignette, and as he's walking off, you can hear somebody in the trunk of the car. Of course, alluding to that being the producer. His, he's got a bit of a connection, to certain families, as if you will. So they continue to find different ways to introduce these characters. So I want to see how this is going to continue to grow. Like, is this going to be a feud between Lash Legend and Tony D'Angelo, or is he going to like use that as a platform to step up and show why he needs to be taken seriously and not being joked about by producers on this new little talk show?
Yeah. It's very Wendy Williamsesque, right? For our international audience that watches us abroad and in India and South Africa and everywhere else, Wendy Williams is a talk show host here in the United States. Very controversial. She talks about gossip all the time, and she's been known to, get some information wrong, and she's been confronted about it, and very what's the word I'm looking for, Rico? Very not a powerful, but
She's very influential.
Yes,
and the people
people
want to watch it and find the gossip and everything happening in Hollywood and all that stuff.
Yeah. So this is what Lash Legend is doing, right? Yeah. I don't necessarily see what the benefit would be for Tony D'Angelo to have a feud with Lash Legend because of not being on the show. Not entirely sure why we would want that, but I guess we just have to stick around and find out and see if it develops into anything. We did have Duke Hudson. Yeah, I had a good match against Grayson Waller. Yeah,
poker star Duke Hudson.
The poker star.
Oh, I'm just calling him that, but that's his niche now. He's really good at poker, so he knows how to, if you get inside the mind of your opponent, then you already beat him before the cards are even drawn. It's like, just let him be just a big, powerful badass. I know we already have quite a few of them, but let him prove in the ring what he can do. But yeah, Grayson Waller, it looks like he's starting to get a little bit more over. And I always thought it was a basketball gimmick, and I didn't know until his little promo before the match that it's supposed to be boxing. I did not know he was a Golden Gloves boxer. I think in Australia is what he mentioned. So
okay,
I just assume, I guess, because he does a lot like the ball and stuff, like old MVP kind of stuff.
Yeah, and he does like the between the legs type of dunk off of the top rope. So it's like, it's I don't know, but it looks like he's trying to give some love life advice to Cameron Grimes. What did you think of that interaction? He suggested that Cameron Grimes should cut off his beard, cut off his hair, and shave his chest. Do you think that's the way he's going to be able to get a woman? I mean, Grayson's a pretty good-looking guy, but there are some women that are into that caveman look. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Now that he's been introduced to the world of Tinder, we'll see if he's going to be able to get some more of these girls. So, he's got the money, though. That's going to help him out. He can take these girls to the moon, Jose.
Let's jump into some of these comments before we continue, guys. If you're just joining us, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button. We got tons of brand new content dropping daily. We got a very high profile SmackDown personality that'll be joining us later this week. I can't say who quite yet, but let me just say that without spoiling it, that it's going to be quite refreshing. Let's just put it like that. And then we also have a great interview with Drew McIntyre and Dominic Mysterio. So go ahead and check that out on our YouTube channel right now by hitting the subscribe button, smashing that notification bell so you never miss when we drop brand new content. All right, guys? And as always, you can always give us a follow on our Instagrams and on our Twitters. CRC, Christopher Ryan Cooper, is asking, is NXT ever going to travel, or have they said if there's going to be any more takeovers? Probably old news, but I can't remember anything. Christopher, I got to be honest with you, I don't know. With this new revamped version of 2.0, I don't know if we're going to get takeovers. I hope so. I hope we get, more NXT takeovers. That would be great. And I hope that they do start traveling again, at least for the big fours, for the takeovers, to make it that long weekend like we were used to before the pandemic. So I surely hope so. I'm sure that's the sentiment of everyone who is an NXT fan. I don't know, Rico, what do you think?
I think, especially if they want to distance themselves and make this truly a new NXT 2.0, what they're going to do is kind of disrupt what they're doing now. So instead of having each of the big pay-per-views be called takeovers, have it as, one of the throwbacks. So we have Halloween Havoc. We had Halloween Havoc last year. We have it this year. Don't be surprised if the next one we have is, instead of takeover in your house, is just NXT 2.0 in your house. Start using some of those old school, pay-per-view names and kind of integrating that to kind of this old school feel, like the more colorful look to the show. So I would think we might not hear the term takeover, but we're going to have those kind of quality, pay-per-view events essentially just under these older names of these older pay-per-views, because I think that fits NXT 2.0 a little more.
Yeah, I could see that, like bringing back like Unforgiven and putting that into the NXT roster. Some people are even talking about putting the King of the Ring in NXT, but that, I think, making it special like they're doing it right now, just every a couple of years, I think that brings something special to the King of the Ring. Anthony Manzano on YouTube. Jose, what are your thoughts on the promo with the person with the distorted voice? Well, guys, if you guys remembered watching NXT, there was a lot of stuff leading up to Halloween Havoc, and one of that was this promo that Anthony Manzano is talking about, where there's it's kind of like a black and white figure. I'm not sure if they're like pulling some type of shovel during like in a cemetery, and there's like a distorted voice. Can't really tell if it's a woman or a guy. Some people are speculating that it's a woman, that it could possibly be Paige coming back. But it's someone that's going to be returning. Any idea? Some people calling Shotzi. I don't know. What do you think?
When I first heard
if it's Paige, I think the internet loses its mind.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be a great way to get more eyeballs back to NXT. So hopefully that is ideally, perfect scenario, it would be her. But it did sound, because it did come off on a little bit on the higher pitch side and a bit of an accent. So if it's not Paige, I'm leaning a little bit more towards Dakota Kai. Because, maybe change up her gimmick a little bit, or, revamp her to another way other than, what we've had her before, her losing versus Raquel Gonzalez for the NXT Women's Championship. So Paige is a great idea. I didn't even think about her coming back. I think that'd be awesome. But right now, I'm leaning a little bit more towards Dakota Kai.
I would love to see. Well, here's the thing too, Ember Moon, right? Ember Moon could be burying her old persona and coming out with something brand new for the third time. That's unfortunately. But maybe she could be the host. Maybe she could be this year's host.
Yeah, I mean, because she kind of left when she was on that losing streak, seeming like she was going to rebuild her character. But just like you said, she just did it when she came back. So it's kind of, I feel like this will be a little overplayed, but at least if they do it right, and push her again, because she's extremely talented, instead of having to just job out to all the newer ladies that are coming out.
I know.
But, we'll see.
Victor asking us here on YouTube, is the Uso brother coming up? Yes, he is. Sikoa is going to be coming up. Solo Sikoa is going to be making his way up. They had a vignette last night during the broadcast. That is the third son of Hall of Famer Rikishi. the father of Jacob Fatu and Josh Fatu, better known as the Usos. They guys, and now this third Fatu brother's coming up, Solo Sikoa. So I'm pretty interested. Now we got an influx of Samoans with Zion Quinn and Solo Sikoa. So I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be good.
Oh yeah, and just imagine, if Simone Johnson, if she can really develop really well to the level of the rest of the family, that'd be another big name to add to the rest of the Samoan dynasty that continues to grow here in WWE and in NXT. But yeah, one thing that is growing is attention between the NXT Tag Team Champions MSK and Imperium, because they call them out in their native languages, which I thought is great. I love when they do that. And I'm on your page. I'm on your side now, Jose. I kind of want MSK to lose.
I want to
see something different now.
They've overstayed their welcome. I think they haven't done a very good. I mean, even though they have every single challenge that's been put in front of them, they've overcome. They've defended those titles. No one can say that their title reign sucked. They're just not entertaining, dude. Like, they have good matches, but besides that, they're not entertaining in the promos. They're not entertaining outside of the ring. I'm sorry. And you can hear it vividly from the NXT universe. That's the thing, that the people are talking and you can hear them when people are booing them. Speaking of booing, Anthony Manzano here on YouTube. Jose, what's making me mad is I can't believe Vince, because this is Vince's decision, is planning to take off the women's title from Raquel Gonzalez during Hispanic Heritage Month. Are you mad as well? Anthony?
It ends in 2 days. Halloween Havoc's at the end of the month, so
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm not mad at it because Halloween Havoc is in 2 weeks. It's outside Hispanic Heritage Month. That's one. Two, I think Raquel's having a hell of a run right now. I don't see anybody taking that off of her right now. Mandy Rose might be like the girl that you think that could be like that next bearer of the women's title, but I don't think they're done with Raquel's babyface run yet. Not yet. Not quite yet. Maybe for the Big Four, maybe later down Survivor Series, maybe in that NXT takeover in Survivor Series weekend, maybe somewhere there. Not right now. I could be wrong, but that's just me.
I wouldn't be shocked if Toxic Attraction walks out of Halloween Havoc with all the belts. I just don't think they're going to do it just yet. I think it's coming soon. Once they're gonna separate Zoe Stark and Io Shirai, I think they are going to be the ones to take the belts off of them, and then you can have Indy and Persia take it off of them. So I think that's going to be the long term for that. But yeah, you're right. Like, Raquel's doing too good. It has to be somebody extremely solid. Like, it has to be like a built Ivy Nile. Like, have her go through some more people.
Mm-hmm.
I can see her beating Raquel Gonzalez, even though she's a lot smaller than her.
It doesn't matter because she can take her to the ground.
As she is, as strong as they're making her look,
exactly,
easily believable, even with the height difference. So I think somebody like that is going to take it off of her. Yeah, I just don't see Mandy Rose getting it just yet. And then to answer your question, Christopher Ryan Cooper, actually, I think that's exactly why they named him Solo Sikoa. The fact that he's talking about he was by himself since the age of 15, like on the streets fighting, even though you had the other two brothers, but that's because they were training and they were wrestling. That's why you were by yourself.
So
and your dad was gone because he was wrestling. So it's understandable. But I think the name is very fitting. I think they purposely picked the name Solo Sikoa because of that. So I know you think it's a joke, but I think that's exactly what they were thinking when they named him.
Oh, man. So, man, overall, man, NXT, pretty good show. I liked what they did, this week with they kept the vignettes to a minimum, but when they were vignettes, it was straight to the point. They didn't spend too much time on it, right? Mm-hmm. It was pretty much promoting what's going to happen at Halloween Havoc, building up that card for Halloween Havoc, which I liked because Halloween Havoc is one of my most favorite events. And now we know that for the NXT Women's title, it's going to be a spin the wheel, make a deal. So I'm super. It could be anything. It could be a TLC Extreme match. It could be a Buried Alive match. It could be, run someone over with an 18-wheeler match. Who knows? Anything can happen. It's spin the wheel, make a deal. So anything can happen. Now that NXT is looking for some edgier content, who knows? Maybe we'll get a death match at Halloween Havoc. Not that it's going to happen. It's probably not going to happen. But I'm just saying the possibilities are there.
It's there. Could happen. You never know.
So Rico, how do you score this week's NXT 2.0?
Man, it feels weird like not having it go up against Dynamite, which again, guys, it's gonna be on Saturday Night Dynamite. So we have not only a Rampage that's gonna have a YouTube buy-in the same time that SmackDown is being extended. So we are gonna get a bit of a head-to-head when it comes to at least 30 minutes from 10 to 10:30. But man, this week's NXT, I thought it was, like I said, it was pretty solid, pretty straightforward. I'm gonna give it a solid 7. Like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed like even the backstage segment with Persia and Indy, like with Dexter being back there, and of course Indy's new thing now. Every time she's just like looking at her ring and just like still excited, like she's still in the honeymoon phase, literally and figuratively, I guess technically. And then just everything was continuous. They continue to build up these characters, let us know more about them. They're doing a great job with like Julius Creed getting the win, Ivy Now getting the win. Continue to showcase Zion Quinn. But now I'm interested in these people that are coming up, like Solo Sikoa. Like we're still not even done being introduced to all the new guys, but they're starting to do it in a way that feels much more organic, much more natural, much more seamless than just a traditional. You have a match, cut to commercial, come back, and then you introduce it. No. Just keep the show going. We know what's going to happen. They're coming out to the ring. We get to see that. Let's see that entrance, and then you cut to the commercial, then have the match. So I think they're starting to really find their groove now in this NXT 2.0, and I just hope they continue to develop the characters the way that they're doing it. So I'm going to give it a solid 7.
Yeah, I agree. I think 7.5. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. I'm going to give it actually a 7.5 because of that big swerve they had last night, actually. That cash in or the execution of the contract. I think it really made a difference in the show because it brought a surprise element, because that's something you would see on a Raw or you would see on a pay-per-view or on a SmackDown on a very rare occasion. So it's something that it would catch you by surprise. You haven't seen anything like that in NXT. So again, this is some of the, I guess, production quality of what they're bringing from the main roster over down to NXT with this new revamped version of 2.0. And having that element of executing the contract at any time, at any moment, I think is great. And it gives personality to the brand. Not only it was like, okay, it's the NXT of past. Okay, well, that was a good era. Now we're in a different era. So I like what they did with that. I thought that was great. And again, we're building up to Halloween Havoc, one of my most favorite events of the year, which makes me probably a little bit more biased, but still trying to be as unbiased and objective as I can. I think a 7.5 is pretty fair for me. Oh, and a lot of you guys are agreeing with us. Christopher Ryan Cooper, 7.5. Anthony Monzano, 7.5. Jeff Samuel, 7.5. So a lot of you guys are agreeing with the rating. So I think they did a good job this week. Last week they pulled in a little over 660,000 views for Tuesday, which is up from the previous week. So maybe this week it got a little bit better with this with the big swerve at the end.
Yeah. Now the question is, which one, if you had to choose only one, which would you rather see on Friday for 30 minutes? Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, or Daniel Bryan versus Minoru Suzuki, bro? Like how are you gonna have that as the buy-in? So even yeah.
Okay, so here's my thing. This is how I'm going to approach this, right?
Yeah.
I'm already a fan. I'm already a hardcore fan. We talk about this on a daily basis. And so for us, a Daniel Bryan versus Minoru Suzuki sounds more of an attraction to the hardcore fan, okay? To the real hardcore fan, because that's going to be pure wrestling. The hardest hits that you can get, you're going to get it in that match, right? That's going to be a nice little moment for the really, really hardcore guy, right? But then on the other hand, You got Brock versus Roman. Everybody knows what Brock versus Roman is. Brock versus Roman is a box office attraction, ladies and gentlemen. All right. That is a WrestleMania main event. And matter of fact, we got 2 of them. Okay. And if that would happen on a Friday night, that would blow the water. Now, we are going to have some type of a face-to-face. We're not going to have Brock versus Roman on a Friday night. But nonetheless, people are going to tune in because people are going to watch Brock Lesnar. People know who Brock Lesnar is. He's an international name. Okay. He's at that level. Let's just say that he's at that level.
And the other part of that half hour, so I'm going to assume, and I think it's a safe assumption, that the 10 to 10:30 that they're going to have is going to be the face-off between Roman and Brock. And Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks. Like, we're going to get that match too, which we know 2 of arguably the best women's wrestlers right now to really hold it down. So I'm going to be just like Christopher Ryan Cooper. I'm going to have the buy-in, which, if you guys didn't know, is going to be on YouTube. So at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, go to YouTube on AEW's channel. They're going to have the match between Bryan Danielson versus Minoru Suzuki. And then on the TV, I'm going to be watching Brock facing off against Roman and Becky versus Sasha Banks, because this is a great time. And that was the answer. Somebody else that brought it in, Christopher Ryan Cooper. What are your thoughts on Tony Khan always talking about WWE? Why does he always have to try and beat WWE? I get that it's his company. I never hear Vince talking about AEW because they're still not to that level, but I love it because it's getting us this. Like, before, we just heard, okay, SmackDown is going to go next 30 minutes. All right, whatever. But now Tony's like pushing out a little bit, like, oh, so we're going to go head to head for 30 minutes. And you know what I'm going to do to lead into that? I'm going to have this dream match that people have been waiting for of a New Japan legend versus arguably one of the best indie wrestlers in the USA finally meet up for the first time on free YouTube. Like, we're starting to see now the payoff of having this is war again. This is what we wanted. This is what competition is about. Competition breeds competitiveness. All, rising waters raises all ships. This is what we want because we get to see this. So yes, Tony, keep just poking at Vince, because the more you poke at him and get under his skin, the more great stuff we're gonna get as a result of it. So yes,
agreed. And to that point too, when it comes to Tony Khan talking about WWE, you guys got to remember that WWE, was pretty much the only competition for about 20 years, almost there. Okay, TNA is on the side. We all know that really doesn't count. Okay, even though we love TNA. Okay, but there was there was a time period that it just wasn't up to par there. Now we have something that's getting there, right? It's getting to that point where you have big names that are very recognizable. You're on cable TV where millions and millions of eyes are going to be watching your product, right? Now, when you're taking digs at WWE, all he's doing is marketing AEW. That's all he's doing. He's trying to get more eyes on the product to see what they can do to take more little tiny shots at WWE, right? They do it all the time on the broadcast, with the little promos, something, just a little tiny little dig at a storyline or a tiny little dig at a segment. They always find something to do to take one little jab at the company in New York. They'll always do it. And at the end, it's marketing. At the end, he's trying to get the eyeballs on that product, because the more that he can create a stir about AEW, the more eyes are going to jump on that product. For example, today we covered in the top story, they're already talking deals about streaming content for AEW. He's already in talks with Warner Media. Okay. And this is with 2.5 years into the company. It's a WWE 20 years. More than that. Okay. So they are way ahead of the curve. They're not up to par to WWE yet. They still have a lot to get to. But if, just like you said, if you poke the bear enough, the bear will bite.
It's again, this is the platinum era, Jose. Wrestling is fun again.
It's the platinum diamond. What's harder than a diamond and platinum? I don't think Plat Diamond. I don't know, but it's platinum and diamond. It's ice. It's the ice platinum era of wrestling. That's how good it is right now. It's a great time to be. That it's just it's just be a great time to be a wrestling fan. All right, guys. Well, that is it for the show. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. As you guys know, there is no Dynamite tonight, which is why we came on a little bit earlier, so you guys can digest it and watch all the wrestling this weekend, because you got SmackDown, you got Rampage, you got the Buy-In, you got Saturday Night Dynamite. So there's tons of stuff to watch this weekend. So make sure you tune in. And also catch us every day here on Sportskeeda Wrestling. We got this top story every afternoon around the 6 o'clock time. We also got Monday nights with Vince Russo, bro, and Chris Featherstone, Dr. Chris Featherstone, at Legion of Raw talking Monday Night Raw. Friday nights, Dirty Dutch Mantel, SP3 and Rick Cucino talking about SmackDown and AEW Rampage, and then us two, Rico and myself, covering AEW Dynamite and NXT every Wednesday night, usually at 10 p.m. But since this is a weird week and sports got to throw off our scheduling, right? We got to do it a little bit earlier. So that's guys, we really appreciate you. Subscribe to the channel, smash the notification bell. Again, tons of interviews. Check them out. We got them all right there. Check out the podcast. Give us a 5-star review. Share it. Go ahead and do that right now. We love you. Remember, when you are watching wrestling, Rico, give them the outro.
Enjoy it. Enjoy wrestling.
Boom. Good night, guys.